what you should not do and what you should do. But that means that you must also have the modicum of social graces. It goes hand in hand.
You were one of the first investors in telecommunications in Nigeria, and I'm told that some of the people whom you invited then backed out. They must be kicking themselves now.
Well, I don't blame them. At that time also, we were investing with our hearts in our hand. Remember, you asked me how do you get to know which is good investment? And I told you, when we invested here, mobile telephony was unheard of, except the Note 9, Note in those days. Okay, now would it work? That was a major question. My own experience was compounded because when the MTN people came here, they offered us 40% shareholding. Nigeria 40% shareholding, they themselves 60%. But we couldn't raise the 40%. Anybody we went to, mobile telephone, forget it. Now, it was even more compounded when I went abroad to try and see whether I could raise some money to make up our 40%. And I met resistance. People say, forget it. Nigeria? No, forget it. It won't work. But eventually, it did work. So, and we thank God for that.
So how much risk should an investor take?
Here, prudence comes in. You should be an investor and not a gambler. A gambler doesn't use prudence. An investor uses prudence. You will invest as much as you can afford to lose.
You should invest as much as you can afford to lose. I'll keep that in mind. Now, what are the biggest challenges?
Don't take that on the face value.
Okay.
Because you see, what can you afford to lose? You're not talking about money. You can also invest your character. Because if you invest, because right now things are happening in that, the time where you just one-man business is coming, becoming something that is fading away. And for you to invest, you need to have that pulling power to attract others to join forces with you so that you can invest. Because it's good to spread the joy and also spread the risk. So you as a person should not be greedy to try to take a bigger proportion than you can have, that you can't afford if you lose it. Don't forget, you are not lending, it's equity. And equity is expensive. And part of the cost is the possibility of losing your shirt.
But if you strike it big, like MTN, you're fine. Oh, come on. That's true. Well, MTN, of which you are chairman, has consistently been rated the #1 telecoms company in Nigeria. But we know that with success can come complacency. What do you tell the managers, those people running the business, so that they don't get complacent and they don't develop hubris?
I like this question, and it gives me an opportunity. Anybody who runs any shop or business, we're talking about passion earlier on, you would want your service to be the best. You must like to hear from the customers that your service is good. So the customer experience, you want it to be nice, topmost. But sometimes these are beyond you. You have things that overwhelms you. You know, Nigeria, the ecosystem for telecommunication industry is very harsh, let me use that word. First of all, we have multifaceted problems. We have vandalism. People, we have what I will call organized vandalism and non-organized vandalism. And besides, this is the only country, or one of the few countries, where every operator has his own backbone. I mean, you know, we can't. Our own network here, MTN, is the biggest backbone in Africa. But then that means that you also have to monitor it and make sure that it works all the time. As
a former president of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, you must have been disheartened to see what happened to the stock market in the last 3-4 years.
It's a good question. But you must realize that the growth we saw in the Nigerian Stock Exchange was not real. It was not real. And so when that is just like a balloon, when it burst, and we're saying that something wrong has happened. First of all, there is lack of education among the investing public. Because that, you know, during those days, once the price of a stock is going up, people believed that it was a good investment. They don't take time to look at the fundamentals of the company in which they're investing. At that time, there is a particular company, I'm the chairman. We practically suspended trading on the shares. But during that boom, the share price rose as far as 13 naira per share. And then I asked myself, who on earth will be buying shares of a company that hasn't paid dividend for 5 years? Okay. The slowdown or the calamity that happened in the stock exchange, for me, is a welcoming thing. It's a wake-up call. So people now take time to study. The operators in the stock exchange has a lot to do to explain to the people what it really, how do you evaluate a stock? Which stock should you invest in? And which you should be on hold?
The exciting moments of the channel's National Kids Cup are here again as Season 5 begins. This year's edition is bigger and better as only 4 winners from Lagos will slug it out with 12 emerging champions from other states across the nation. Only schools in Lagos are required to pick up their forms for the Lagos preliminaries